What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin Bats. It's a big day around the game of baseball because 15 years ago today, Armando Galarraga threw a perfect game. The only 28 out perfect game in history. Because if you remember, Jim Joyce caught him safe at first base and he gets the next guy out. Technically not a perfect game, but I was watching every single pitch of that game, saw the perfect game happen, and the question becomes, do we have replay in baseball because of that Armando Galarraga game? The answer is yes, but I do think over time we would have eventually gotten it. But just a wild, wild day that I remember very, very well. Other things currently happening around the game of baseball. Jack Caglione gets called up for the Kansas City Royals, top prospect there. He hit 322 in Double A with a 947 OPS this year. Then he gets called up to Triple A where he hits 319 with a 1093 OPS, hits 6 homers in 12 games. Royals top prospect finally gets the call up, and it's officially June. It's officially June, and what we have in baseball is the Colorado Rockies sitting here at 9-50. 9-50. It's officially the worst 60 game stretch in the history of Major League Baseball, and they did it in 59 games. Worse than all of these teams who were all 11-49. It was originally the modern era. Worst team in the modern era. Well, now it's officially the worst start ever in baseball history. Worse than the 1897 St. Louis Browns, 1895 Louisville Colonels, 1886 Washington Nationals, 1932 Boston Red Sox, and the 1904 Washington Senators. All of them were 11-49. The Colorado Rockies, 2025 Rockies, are 9-50, currently on pace to go 24-138. That's really, really bad. We have a fun show here today. A lot happened over the weekend. We got a World Series rematch, Dodgers Yankees. We're going to talk all about that. A lot happened. Some good games, some really bad games, but we'll talk about what that series told me. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Braves. I have the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series. That was my preseason prediction. They are currently not in line to win the World Series, but I'm going to talk about them if I still believe in that and where they sit currently. We're going to talk a little bit of trade deadline. It's now June. Well, I wouldn't say we're super close to the trade deadline, but time to start talking. There's a lot of teams involved in potentially making the playoffs. 24 of 30 teams are within 5 games of a playoff spot. So I'm going to talk a little bit about trades, names that are available, and then my top 3 trades that need to happen. It's Monday, Power Rankings. Of course, we got a new team at the top this week. And then at the end, we'll do a little Dinger Tuesday segment on who I think you should bet on to hit a homer on Tuesday and get a 50% profit boost on Fanduel. Last week, we were right. We took Shohei Ohtani. He did homer on Tuesday. We'll see if we can do it again. But remember, Flippin' Bats is presented by Fanduel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sportsbook. I want to start this show talking about the Atlanta Braves. As many of you know, I have and I predicted the Atlanta Braves to win the World Series this year. It couldn't have started off worse. They started 0-7. No team that started 0-7 has ever gone on to make the playoffs. We know all of that. Then I flew to Atlanta to save the season. They won that game, first win of the year. Thought it would all turn around, but it really hasn't. And the reason I had them winning the World Series isn't because of the team they were going to the year with. It's because they were going to get Ronald Acuña Jr. back and they were going to get Spencer Strider back. Well, here we sit, and they're behind the Washington Nationals in the NL East and 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. They're 27-31. So here's what I'll say about the Braves. I still believe in the Atlanta Braves, but my worry meter is rising big time. They have Ronald Acuña Jr. back. Ronald Acuña Jr. is hitting 324 with an OPS over 1,000 since coming back. If you remember his first game back, first pitch he saw, he hits a homer against the San Diego Padres. 1-0, Ronald's back, everything's changing. Well, they ended up losing that game 2-1. They're 3-6 since his return. Strider's back as well. Strider's going to take some time. He's coming back from his second elbow surgery, then his hamstring thing. Velo's not quite there. Strider's going to take a little bit of time for me to settle in, but Ronald's back. Ronald was a huge shot in the arm for this team and this offense, and he's been playing incredible. Yet the team's still 3-6 in his return, and we're still sitting a good bit below 500 as we enter June. So maybe there's just a bigger discussion to be had here that the Atlanta Braves aren't as good as I think. And I'm not just talking this year. I'm talking the reason I picked them to win the World Series. I'm talking why over the past couple of years, I think 2 of the last 3 years, I've picked them to win the World Series. So maybe this team just isn't as good as I think. Because if you go back 200 games, the Atlanta Braves' last 200 games, their record is 100 and 100. Sure, there's injuries involved there. Injuries here, injuries there. Stars getting hurt, Ronald going down, Strider going down. But you know what you got last year? You got a resurgence of Chris Sale. You got a Cy Young Chris Sale. You got a Triple Crown best pitcher in the National League, Chris Sale last year. So 200 games is no small sample size. That's well over a year's worth of baseball. And you're 100 and 100. That is the definition of an average baseball team. So sure, you get Ronald back. You get Strider back. Now you pair Strider with Chris Sale. That's what I was so excited about. And maybe the conversation is just that they're not as good as I think they are. I'm not yet ready to say that, but I'm now looking at that prediction in the mirror and saying, man, maybe the Braves need to turn this around quick. I mean, we're sitting here again. It's the beginning of June. They're 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. The teams in front of them aren't all that great. So there's a chance, but for the first time all year, the Atlanta Braves are no longer favored to make the playoffs. They're plus 110 to make the playoffs on Fanduel Sportsbook. They don't have a great June. They play some really good teams. They do play the Marlins and the Rockies at some point, but other than that, it's brutal schedule, brutal travel schedule, tough opponents. They're on the road a lot. They're 10 and 20 on the road. They're 17 and 11 at home. So they're 2 different teams. Bad baseball team on the road. You got to figure that out because your June is brutal. So I've just been watching this Braves team thinking, yep, this is when it turns around. And that first thought was the day Ronald comes back, all the excitement around it. He hits that homer, and it's like, I think I even tweeted, World Series run back on. They lost that game 2-1. They lost that series to the Padres. They've lost a lot since that series as well and continued to lose over the weekend and this past week. I still believe in the Atlanta Braves, but my worry meter is rising big time with them. And there's just a bigger conversation that I wanted to have. It's not even just about this year's team. The reason, as I mentioned, is you get Strider back and Chris Sale in the rotation. These are the reasons I'm not yet out on them. I still have the Braves making the playoffs. I'm going to still stick with my prediction because Strider's not Spencer Strider yet. He's started to look better, but he hasn't found his command. His velo's not back. That's going to take some time. I do think it can happen this year. And then you go into a playoffs with Strider and Chris Sale as a 1-2 punch. I think they're better than every team in front of them between here and a wild card spot. I think they're better than the Washington Nationals. I know they're better than the Nationals. I know they're better than the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're better than the Milwaukee Brewers. I think they're better than the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are an interesting conversation right now. So there's just a lot of teams in front of them that it's like, okay, we're better than this team, but when are we going to get going? And I don't know that answer. Last year it took a while. This year it's taking a while, but you're getting your guys back and healthy. Acuña's settling in. Strider needs to settle in. You're going to get Profar back at some point from his suspension, but let's not get super excited there. Can he help you get to the playoffs? Sure, if he's anything what you hope he is when he returns, but he's not a playoff guy. He's suspended for steroids, so he can't play in the playoffs if you happen to get there. Braves aren't done, but they're a good bit out of it. And I am worried about the Atlanta Braves. A 100 and 100 record in the last 200 games for the Atlanta Braves. We got a World Series rematch over the weekend. Yankees at the Dodgers. Fun series. One, let's just give some kudos to Commissioner Manfred for one. I think the rule changes have been huge, but the schedule change is a really underrated thing that has happened in baseball over the last couple of years. Now, every team plays every team every year. We get Shohei Ohtani versus Aaron Judge, New York Yankees versus Los Angeles Dodgers every year. And I think that should be the case instead of every 3 years with your rotating interleague games. This is great. This is how it should be. Everybody should get to see these two players play against each other. And what we saw was really a replay of the World Series. We got our rematch. It started off on Friday. Aaron Judge homered in his very first at bat. Then Shohei homered right after that in his very first at bat. Shohei Ohtani went on to hit 2 homers that game. Aaron Judge went on to hit 3 home runs in that series, in the series. So first off, welcome to the World Series rematch, Aaron Judge. You didn't show up when it was the World Series, but now we got the rematch in the regular season, and you did. What did we learn? We learned absolutely nothing from this series. We learned that Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are the 2 best players in the world. And we learned that the Dodgers are still miles better than the New York Yankees. The Yankees got exposed once again by the Dodgers. They did in the World Series. It was a different playing field. It happened again. I know the Dodgers won the first 2 games. The Dodgers won Friday 8-5. The Dodgers won Saturday 18-2. It was 10-0 in the second inning. The starters were pulled early. Saturday was 18-2. Dodgers did beat Yamamoto, or the Yankees did beat Yamamoto on Sunday, but just 7 walks. The Dodgers didn't walk at all offensively. Ryan Yarbrough, Old Dominion teammate of mine, shoved. Really good start. Happy to see that from him. So yes, they did win a game. They did beat Yamamoto, but it doesn't take me saying, okay, the Dodgers only won 2 of 3 and they were the home team. No, if you just watch, you can just tell that the Dodgers are a far better team than the New York Yankees. So I continue, and yes, the Yankees are a good ball club, but I continue to have this conversation that I've literally had since last year. And then the Yankees go on to be in the World Series, and I kind of continue the same conversation. This is just what I see. I don't see the New York Yankees as all that great of a baseball team. They have the best hitter in the world on their team, who's currently hitting 400. He's hitting 391 and towards the league lead in homers, an OPS of over 1,200. He's the best hitter in the world, and Aaron Judge. But at some point, Aaron Judge is not going to be hitting 400. He's going to come back to earth a little bit. And earth for Aaron Judge is 330 with close to 60 homers, right? I'm acknowledging that. But it's not going to be 400 with over 60 homers. At some point, he's going to come back to earth, and this team is going to get exposed for what I think they are. And people are going to say, you're being a hater. You're just hating on the Yankees. No, I'm just being realistic. We have Trent Grisham towards as a guy in this lineup. We have DJ LeMahieu. All these guys are playing well. I don't think that's going to continue to be the case. You're counting on Trent Grisham. You're counting on DJ LeMahieu. And then you have guys just trying to fill holes and spots. And Anthony Volpe is not what Yankees fans wanted Anthony Volpe to be, at least not yet. Jason Dominguez, what is he going to be? There's just so many question marks that are now just being plugged with a Band-Aid by Aaron Judge being the best hitter on planet Earth and being the best version of the best hitter on planet Earth. He's on his Barry Bonds-esque run. I think Aaron Judge is going to continue to be the best hitter in baseball all year long. I don't think he's going to hit 400. I think he's going to come back to earth and go through a bit of a stretch. And when that happens, I think the Yankees are going to go on a bit of a stretch. The reason I'm even saying all this is because they were exposed once again by the Dodgers. I don't think the New York Yankees are the best team in the American League. I don't think the Yankees are a World Series team this year. Maybe that answer is different if Garrett Cole is healthy and the ace of a staff, and then you're getting co-aces in Garrett Cole and Max Fried. But now you have pitching rotation concerns. Devin Williams is at this point a concern in the back end of the bullpen. You have some bullpen concerns. You have some depth in the lineup concerns. There are concerns everywhere you look for the Yankees that are right now being masked by the success of Aaron Judge. And I don't think that's going to continue to be the case all year long. Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger have been good pickups for the Yankees, but I don't think that this team is as good without Juan Soto. And again, I know Soto's struggling this year and like it would look different, and you'd rather have Bellinger and Goldschmidt right now than Soto. That's not going to be the case. Let's just be realistic. Every salty Yankees fan can acknowledge that Juan Soto is a great hitter and the lineup is better with Juan Soto. I think everybody can also, probably not Yankees fans, but I think we should all admit that a Yankees lineup with Aaron Judge and Juan Soto is better than a Yankees lineup with Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, and Cody Bellinger. Right now, is that the case? No. But over the course of a season, I think that will be the case. And the Yankees, I think, at some point are going to struggle. Can they still win the AL East? Absolutely. I think the Yankees are good enough to win the AL East. I think the Yankees are a good team. I don't think the Yankees are one of the league's elite teams. That's all I'm saying. I think they desperately need to add somebody at the trade deadline, in my opinion. But the Dodgers exposed the Yankees once again, even with Aaron Judge showing up for this series and tearing the cover off the ball. So what did we learn? We learned nothing. Shohei and Aaron Judge are the best players on planet Earth, and the Dodgers are miles better than the Yankees. Shohei did have a good series. He homered twice in that first game, became the first player in Major League Baseball to 20 homers. He's no longer the league leader. Cal Raleigh leads baseball, by the way, with 23 homers. Cal Raleigh has been an absolute stud. Cal Raleigh should start the All-Star game for the American League at catcher. 23 home runs. That's absolutely insane. But Shohei's killing it. He's hitting just under 300. Let me give you a list of every player in MLB history to have 20 plus homers, 10 plus stolen bases, and 50 plus runs scored before the month of June. That list goes Shohei Ohtani, nobody else, ever. Shohei Ohtani in 2025 became the only player in MLB history, 20 plus homers, 10 plus stolen bases, 50 plus runs scored before the month of June. Those aren't these crazy obscure stats. Those are home runs, stolen bases, runs scored. That's incredible. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player that I've ever seen. I will continue to say it. I know people will disagree and say, not yet, or that's not the case. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player of all time. Greatest talent of all time. It's insane. So he's playing well. Judge is playing well. Two best players in baseball showed off against each other, and Dodgers showed that they are still the far better baseball team. I mentioned the Yankees need to make a trade. The Yankees need offense. The Yankees need a third baseman. The Yankees need offensive depth. Well, the trade deadline isn't close, but we're going to talk about it. We're a couple months away. June's going to be huge. Why is June going to be huge? Well, because as we currently sit, 24 of 30 teams are in reach of the playoffs. 24 of 30. There's only 6 teams that are out of it. 6 teams that aren't going to make it. We can name them. It's going to be the Miami Marlins, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Colorado Rockies, out of it on the NL side. On the AL side, the Athletics, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Chicago White Sox. No, none of those teams are making it, right? Other than that, literally everybody is within striking distance as we currently sit. That's why June is going to be huge, because I do think we'll start to see that number become probably closer to 20 after this month. And then you get closer and closer to the trade deadline, and it starts to become apparent what teams will be sellers. But I'm going to talk about trades because there's a couple teams that jump out to me of like, this team needs something. So I'm going to do my top 3 trades that need to happen come the trade deadline. I'm going to start with the Cubs. The Cubs need a starting pitcher. We talked about it when Justin Steele went down. Justin Steele went down for the year. I said it that next day. Okay, go get your starter. You know you need a starting pitcher. What can you get? Now Shota Imanaga's been out for a month. He's not done for the year. He's back to throwing bullpens. Hopefully before June ends, Shota Imanaga is back. But it doesn't matter. You desperately need a starting pitcher. You're a good baseball team. You should win the NL Central. So go get you a starting pitcher at the trade deadline. I got a name for you. Zach Gallen. The Diamondbacks aren't playing great baseball. Zach Gallen's in his free agent year. Is he available? Will he be available come the trade deadline? I don't know, but a surprise name to look out for the Chicago Cubs. You need a star. I think they need an ace of a staff. I can mention names like an Andrew Heaney, who's having a pretty good year with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but who listening hears Andrew Heaney to the Chicago Cubs and thinks, boom, World Series? Nobody. It doesn't really excite anybody. It doesn't excite Cubs fans. But what does is Zach Gallen. And Zach Gallen just kind of feels like a Chicago Cub. It feels like a good place for him. Again, I don't know. We don't know yet what the Diamondbacks are going to do, but Zach Gallen is an interesting name there. Sandy Alcantara was a big name at the time, but Sandy Alcantara has been really bad this year. Sandy Alcantara has been surprisingly one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Again, Cy Young winner a couple years ago, but then goes down with his Tommy John, then comes back and is not good. And then this year it's like, okay, we're going to get to this. This will be him back to himself. This will be back to maybe closer to Cy Young, Sandy Alcantara. Well, let me just read you his statistics, because if you're not super well versed on what Sandy Alcantara is doing, it's a little bit mind blowing to me. He's 2-7. I don't care about record. It's the Miami Marlins. You're on a terrible baseball team. He has an 8.47 ERA this year. 8.47 ERA with a whip of 1.67. He's been one of the worst pitchers in the game of baseball. So all of a sudden, this name months ago that is like, man, somebody's going to get Sandy at the trade deadline becomes, if I'm the Marlins, I can't trade him. I can't. Do I still believe in him at all? If that answer is yes, he has never had less leverage in the trade market. Never. So what's the point in trading him right now? I wouldn't do it. Nor does that name excite me if I'm anybody else. So you're basically going to be taking a flyer on a guy. You're not going to have to give up a ton, but you're taking a flyer on him, and you're going to have to give up a little more than a guy with an 8.47 ERA would because of the name and the Cy Young in his back pocket. But you're not going to have to give up a ton, but you're taking a flyer. And if you're the Cubs, I don't think taking a flyer on a guy is your answer for the season. I think Zach Gallen is a very interesting name for the Chicago Cubs come the trade deadline at the end of July. Next up for me, top 3 trades that need to happen. The Detroit Tigers need a third baseman. Now here we are. It's June. The Detroit Tigers have the best record in baseball. And they've been just using a rotating cast of players, really in a lot of different positions. It's remarkable they are as good as they are, but that's a credit to the players on the field and AJ Hinch. And I've talked about the Tigers ad nauseum. They're a very good baseball team. And that's despite them using some sort of form of Andy Ibanez at third base, who really is only playing and serviceable against lefties. Javi Baez at third base, who's also playing center field and shortstop. Zach McKinstry at third base. Matt Vierling coming back, but then getting hurt once again. They just need a third baseman. I knew that at the beginning of the year when I said every day of the offseason, it's a great day for the Detroit Tigers to sign Alex Bregman. Just because they're the best team in baseball, record-wise, doesn't mean that I think they don't need Alex Bregman anymore. It would have been the ultimate perfect fit. But here we are, and the Detroit Tigers need a third baseman. What does that look like? Well, a month ago, I would have said, well, that looks like maybe one Nolan Arenado, who's not the same player he was 3 years ago, but he's still a serviceable baseball player and a great defensive third baseman, and he's your everyday third baseman, and he can put up some offensive numbers for you. Now the Cardinals are good? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But right now, it doesn't look like they're sellers. Again, like I said, the next month or month and a half is going to show us so much. The Cardinals were never supposed to be a playoff team this year. They're sort of rebuilding. Well, that rebuild has gone way better than expected. And if the trade deadline were tomorrow, they would not be sellers. But the trade deadline is not tomorrow, and Nolan Arenado is a name to keep an eye on for the Tigers. Another is bringing Eugenio Suarez back to Detroit. I was teammates with Suarez in the Tigers organization. I love the dude. Again, he's not going to hit you 300. He might not hit you 250, but he is some huge pop in the middle of that lineup. I think he's a very good fit for a Tigers lineup. It just needs some thump. It needs some pop. They have some guys, they do it all different ways, but adding a guy somewhere in that 4 to 6 spot in the lineup that can hit you. He had a 4-homer game earlier this year. That can hit you, or 3. That can hit you a bunch of homers on any given night. You need that. And Eugenio Suarez can be that. It was a 3-homer game. Nolan Arenado, Eugenio Suarez are some names to look out for at third base for the Tigers, in my opinion. And lastly, top 3 trades that need to happen. The Seattle Mariners, literally just any offense. Literally anybody. It's the same conversation with this team over and over every year. And this year's a little different, right? Their pitching hasn't been top in the league, but they've had injuries everywhere you look. Gilbert, Kirby, literally everywhere. They've had starting pitching injuries. They will continue to get healthier and continue to work their way up back to one of the best rotations in baseball. Offensively, they have been carried by Cal Raleigh, leading Major League Baseball in home runs. Julio is starting to get healthy. Or not healthy. Julio's starting to heat up, as he does every year. He's heating up earlier than he normally heats up, so watch out for Julio. But they have offensive issues still. Offensive depth issues. Rowdy Tellez has been your first baseman. He's hitting 200. You need a third baseman. You need offense anywhere. You need a lot of offense. That's always the case. So what does that look like? Well, here's where some more names pop up because the Mariners just could add anywhere. Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn from the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles aren't going to make the playoffs. The Orioles are probably going to be sellers. Those are some big names to look out for. Mullins and O'Hearn from the Baltimore Orioles. Again, I just mentioned them with the Tigers, but Eugenio Suarez and Nolan Arenado are good names for me at third base for the Mariners. First base, Rowdy Tellez is there hitting 100 or 200. There are some first basemen that can be available. Nathaniel Lowe with the Washington Nationals is a name to keep an eye on. Yandy Diaz with the Tampa Bay Rays is a name to keep an eye on. He is controllable for one more year after this. So it's not just a rental. You're getting a year plus of Yandy Diaz. And another Arizona Diamondback, Josh Naylor, who signed a 1-year deal with the D-backs. That could be an interesting name at first base. Mariners, literally just any offense is one of the 3 trades that needs to happen for me. Cubs need a starting pitcher. Tigers need a third baseman. Mariners need any offense. So it's going to be interesting. 24 of 30 teams, as I mentioned, are still in it. And a big one that I think you can now see where I'm going is the biggest team in my mind and what happens over the next month or so is the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are currently in 4th place in the NL West, which I predicted this year, by the way, and everybody said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Diamondbacks, 4th place, not a chance. My prediction was Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Rockies in last, but everybody knew that would be the case. Regardless, they're sitting here at 28-31. They're in 4th place in the NL West, but they're 5 games back of 3rd place. They have not been good. Now Corbin Burns gets hurt over the weekend. Looked bad. Corbin Burns throws a pitch, yells, screams. He's seen on camera seemingly mouthing, "It's done. My elbow, it's done." Now, since then, there has been reports that the D-backs are cautiously optimistic that his elbow is not done, and it's just something else with his arm, whether that be inflammation or whatever. We'll find out over the next couple of days. But regardless, Corbin Burns is going to miss some time. He ain't making his next start. So at minimum, I think you're looking at Corbin Burns missing a month, feels at minimum to me. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know nobody knows yet what is going on with Corbin Burns. But I know when a pitcher's standing on the mound, screaming, then seeing Ben Sing saying, been saying, it's my elbow, it's done. He ain't making his next start. In my opinion, it ain't going to be the next couple of weeks he's making a start. At minimum, I think he's done for a month. Maximum, he's done for a year of time. So there's Corbin Burns' injury now. There's just a team struggling with one of your aces getting hurt, and I just have concerns with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the question becomes, are the D-backs going to be sellers? And if they are, there's massive opportunity for them and for everyone else because the D-backs have a lot of guys coming up on free agency. And I mentioned all of them. Zach Gallen, a very interesting name. Josh Naylor, a very interesting name. Eugenio Suarez, an interesting name. So what happens with the D-backs over the next month plus is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest story of the trade deadline. Because if they are sellers, Zach Gallen is a star going somewhere. Naylor's a star going somewhere. He's on a one-year deal. He's definitely going somewhere. And Suarez is probably going somewhere as well. So we'll see what happens there. But we're starting to dibble-dabble in trade deadline talk. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube. Please always let me know what you think we should see come the trade deadline. What team needs what? I'll obviously hop in the comments. I love hopping in the YouTube comments and talking to you guys about every episode and everything that we want to talk about. Trade deadline, not close, but close enough to talk about it. Some other names to keep an eye on: Luis Robert Jr. with the White Sox. Maybe just a change of scenery is what he needs. But I pretty much mentioned a lot of guys that I think. Those D-backs guys: Mullins, O'Hearn, Arenado, Luis Robert, Sandy Alcantara. Andrew Heaney's an interesting name as a pitcher. So we'll see what happens over the next month. It's Monday, Power Rankings time. Every single Monday, I go through my Power Rankings that are posted on social media and everybody yells at me for, but I explain them here and why I'm thinking what and why I have these teams in certain spots. So let's go through it. At number 10, I did have the Toronto Blue Jays for the first time this year. They are new to the Power Rankings. Why are they here? Well, they're winners of 5 in a row. They're 31-28. You have Vladdy Jr., who's a stud in your lineup. Bo Bichette's playing good baseball. Anthony Santander needs to heat up. He's maybe starting to hit a little bit better, but the offense is good. The pitching is good. They've just never figured out how to win. Maybe they're starting to. They're also another interesting team come trade deadline time, by the way, because as we said, they wouldn't be sellers, but they're in a tough division. If you play sub 500 baseball in the next month, maybe Bo Bichette is gone and out the door. We'll see. But the Blue Jays are making their debut this year in the Power Rankings at number 10. At number 9, I'm going Milwaukee Brewers, also new to the Power Rankings, winners of 7 in a row. They're 32-28. And they just swept the Philadelphia Phillies, who last week were number 1 in my Power Rankings. Spoiler alert, they ain't going to be 1 this week. They've been going through it. But the Brewers are here for the first time. They are new to the Power Rankings at number 9. At number 8, the Houston Astros up 2 spots. The Astros are a half a game out of the division, but they're just look. I posted the Power Rankings this morning, and somebody just goes, "Oh, they're in second place in their own division, but you have the Astros there and the Mariners not." This is pretty simple. The Astros are playing better than the Seattle Mariners. The Astros just played the Seattle Mariners. The Astros just beat the Seattle Mariners head-to-head. At what point are the Astros not on the Power Rankings and the Mariners aren't? The Astros are playing much better baseball now. They're heating up. And they are at number 8 in the Power Rankings. Jordan is still injured. I tweeted this over the Astros training staff. Man, they just piss me off sometimes. I don't understand why they just continue to almost just pull a sheet over fans' eyes and think, guess what? This is what we're going to tell them. They've done this a couple years in a row now, but it goes back many years. They continually do the same thing. They just aren't honest with injuries. It comes out over the weekend that Yordan Alvarez actually has a fracture in his hand, and it's now about 60% healed. Well, we were told it was inflammation. Kyle Tucker last year, we were told it was inflammation and a bone bruise, but it ended up being a fracture in his shin. Fans aren't dumb. Once you get to a week, 2 weeks of time, it's like, okay, it's not just inflammation. It's not just a bone bruise. Something's wrong. But continually, this organization just waits a month or more and then finally says, oh, yeah, he's got a fracture. It's healing, though. It frustrates me beyond belief. They continually do it. They do it every year. People aren't dumb. There are dumb people out there, but most people aren't dumb. I am no health genius. I'm no medical genius. I'm no doctor. But I, along with most every baseball fan, can see, okay, Yordan Alvarez gets hurt. Okay, Kyle Tucker gets hurt. Bone bruise, inflammation. Okay, a week goes by. No update. 2 weeks goes by. No update. He's barely doing anything on the field. 3 weeks goes by. Something's wrong. We're being lied to. Something is wrong that we're not being told. And then like a month later, it's finally, oh yeah, there's a fracture. God, it's so annoying. Why don't you just say it up front? Yordan Alvarez dealing with a fracture that is over 50% healed, apparently. What do we trust? Nobody knows. But the Astros are still playing good baseball without him currently, and they're up to number 8. At number 7, up one spot, the San Diego Padres, playing pretty good baseball over the course of the week. They really turned it. They went through a tough stretch, but they really turned it around that series with the Braves on the road. Good series win there and continued to play pretty good baseball over the last week. They're up one spot. At number 6, the New York Mets. They stayed the same. This is an interesting talking point because they had a really good week, but they played some of the worst teams in all of baseball. So I'm really not going to move them a ton. And I didn't feel like putting them ahead of who I have at number 5 because they just lost a series to them recently, who's the New York Yankees. I have the Yankees at 5. Yankees got exposed by the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are one of the top teams in baseball. The Yankees might have been down a bit more had they not salvaged the series with the Sunday win, but a good week of games before that. So I just kept them the same. And it didn't feel right to have the Mets, who are playing better, over the Yankees because the Mets played really bad opponents and the Mets just lost a series to the Yankees. See how that works? Great. At number 4, I'm going to immediately contradict myself and put the Philadelphia Phillies, who were swept by the Mets earlier. But the Phillies have been consistently, the Phillies were the number 1 team in my power rankings last week. You get swept by the Brewers, you have a tough week of games, and you're going to drop, just not further than 4 for me. I have the Phillies dropping 3 spots on the week to number 4. At number 3, I'm going Chicago Cubs up 1 from where they were because the Phillies fell behind them. At number 2, I'm going to go the Dodgers up 1 because the Phillies dropped behind them. And at number 1, back to being the top team in my power rankings at the number 1 spot in Major League Baseball, it is the Detroit Tigers. 39-21, best record in baseball by a couple of games. I think they're going to be the first team in baseball to reach the 40 mark this week. Tigers are legit. Tigers need a third baseman, but the Tigers are just doing it many different ways every single night. But you have the best pitcher in baseball, you have the best manager in baseball, and then a bunch of just grinders that are going to figure it out. That's why they're the best team in baseball. I would love to see them add a big bat for the middle of that lineup come the trade deadline, but we'll see. And as we currently sit, Tigers are the best team in baseball. So 10 through 1, we go Blue Jays, Brewers, Astros, Padres, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers. 1 is the Detroit Tigers. Before we finish up, Tuesday, this episode comes out on Monday afternoons. Hopefully in time for your Monday commute if you're on the East Coast, and then Monday commute anywhere else. But the episode comes out on Monday. But I want to do a FanDuel segment, and I'll do it for Tuesday because hopefully everybody's listened by Tuesday, or at least most everybody. Last week, we did Dinger Tuesday. It is Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel Sportsbook. What does that mean? It means you can pick anybody to hit a home run and then get a 50% profit boost on that player to hit a home run. Last week, we took Shohei Ohtani because he had really good numbers against, I believe it was Gavin Williams, and that did end up coming true. He did hit a homer. Shohei cashed our Dinger Tuesday pick for us. So we're going to do it again. Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel Sportsbook. We are going to take another Dodger, Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, 6 for 14 off of Tyler McGill of the New York Mets. Good matchup, good series matchup, in my opinion, and a good matchup for Freddie Freeman, who's been killing it offensively. Plus, pair that with great numbers against the starting pitcher. Give me Freddie Freeman to go deep. Everyone join me. We are hot on FanDuel Sportsbook currently. Freddie Freeman, take him and that 50% profit boost on FanDuel Sportsbook. Remember, he must be 21 and older and present in select states and 18 or older and present in DC. Opt-in required. The bonus is issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost token. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Fun show today. Really fun show. Baseball's rolling. Everything's rolling but the Colorado Rockies. This week, speaking of the Colorado Rockies, I am going to Denver, and I'm going to be hitting at Coors Field. I don't know if you guys remember. It kind of depends on how long you've been a listener of Flippin Bats, but couple years I've been doing the charity event at Coors Field for UC Health. It's a home run derby there. I hit some bombs at Coors Field, hopefully raise a bunch of money. I am doing that again this week on Thursday. That is where I will be, but don't worry. John Smoltz will still be on. I'm hoping to have that come out on Thursday, but we'll see. Got to coordinate with John as I do every week, but hopefully that's the case, and then I'll talk about how it goes at Coors Field. I'm going to hit some bombs, hopefully win a home run derby, and then that'll be almost as many wins as the Colorado Rockies have this year. But thank you all for listening and watching. As always, it truly means a ton to me. Please make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple or Spotify. But also, check us out on YouTube. If you're not watching, go watch on YouTube. I love hopping in the comments there and talking to all you guys about everything throughout the episode. Flippin Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. Every episode comes out there, and hit that subscribe, like button. It all really does help. So please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment. I'll talk to you guys in the comments. And follow us on all social media, at Flippin Bats Pod everywhere. I talk about when the episodes are coming out. We put some videos out there, a lot of fun stuff, at Flippin Bats Pod everywhere. But thank you all, as always. I love this community. I love the Flippin Bats community. Some exciting things happening because 2025 is the year of Flippin Bats. Things are rolling, my friends. I love you all. Baseball's been awesome this year, and we're going to continue to talk about it forever. Love you guys. Remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace. Flippin Bats is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in DC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.